get right to Peter Doocy as we approach the top of a new hour. As the news is breaking, Peter, you're right there at the White House. What do you know so far, and what have you heard?
Well, we know that President Biden remains at his beach house in Rehoboth, Delaware, and this is a big surprise if you listen to the things that President Biden and his top aides have been telling us for the last several weeks. It was Friday morning that the campaign put Jen O'Malley Dillon, the campaign manager, out on MSNBC for a 20-minute long interview set to reassure Democrats that President Biden was in it to win it. She had all kinds of information about how they do not think that voters were bailing on Biden and going to Trump. So really, they didn't think that it was going to be that bad, that the last couple weeks were hard for them, but that the race was still winnable. Every single time that a White House official was asked about these reports that President Biden might be leaving the race, they insisted that it was not true. And they were on social media clapping back at some of the reporters who were not reaching out to them for comment. And the comment every single time was a denial. They were saying he is in the race. He is staying in the race. He wrote that letter to Democrats on Capitol Hill where he explained his justification for staying in the race. That is what they kept referring to. There's been so much talk over the last few weeks about what decision will President Biden make. Well, he already made up his mind. He told us. And now there is some reporting that at some point this afternoon, it all changed. And he phoned his senior aides to let them know that his mind was changed. And they put out this paper statement. This is something that typically you would expect to either see President Biden do in person or at the very least record a video to post on social media, to post on YouTube, to explain what exactly was going on. We know that he has not been feeling good the last couple days, sick with COVID, so it's possible he just can't do that right now. But he remains in Delaware, and we don't know exactly when we will see him next. Sandra.
Yeah, he said probably later this week he is going to make some sort of a public statement. I thought that he would have waited until he got over COVID and then announced this in a public statement as opposed to putting out something on paper first, but maybe he wanted to get the process going more quickly. So, of course, one of the things that is coming up now, Peter, is if Joe Biden can't stand for re-election, can he continue to be the president, or does he need to hand the reins off to Kamala Harris? You know, there's a couple of ways that a president can hand the reins over to the vice president. One is through the 25th Amendment. I mean, of course, another is the demise of the president. But then if the president were to resign the office, then the reins fall to the vice president. But can he stay on as president if people are saying you're not fit to run for re-election?
He insists that he can, and this is a president who cares a lot about his legacy. And so it seems extremely unlikely that this leader who spends a ton of time, I remember in the late stages of the pandemic, one of the first meetings that he had with a group of people at the White House was with historians. And we know that he has sat at roundtables with historians throughout his tenure. He loves to hold up a list where some group of historians ranked him towards the top of the pack of the best presidents ever. He cares a lot about what scholars think about the things that he has done and the things that he is doing. And so it seems extremely unlikely that he would do anything to shorten his term.
That's a lot. So we'll see where those calls go from here.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.